Hello, hello. So, in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the content format that I believe therapists should focus on for Instagram success. I think that what I see happen a lot of times is therapists post just sort of randomly with no strategy behind it. And then they get frustrated because they're not seeing the results that they want from their Instagram page. But at the end of the day, the reality is that not all content is designed to do the same thing. And so, if you are expecting all of your content to move your Instagram forward to get you clients, you're going to feel pretty frustrated when it's not working. And so, in today's episode, we are going to really talk through the different purposes of each posting format so that you can use Instagram more strategically. Because, spoiler alert, there is not one type of content that I believe you should be posting. No one piece of content is going to accomplish all of your marketing goals, right? You really do need to use a variety. So let's get into it and really break down, what each piece of content is designed for. So I want to start off with Reels. And depending on where you're at in your Instagram journey, you might love or hate Reels, or even be too scared to do Reels. That's oftentimes what I see is true for therapists is they are like, I don't want to show up and make videos. That feels really inauthentic to me. It feels scary. It feels kind of cringy. And then once they join the Reels membership and they start to have somebody tell them exactly what to post, they almost go too far in the other direction, right? And they're like, now I love Reels. Reels are so easy. The only content I want to do are Reels. But as I said, we really do need to do a little bit of everything. But let's talk through Reels first. So, the main point with Reels is attraction and growth, right? Reels are Instagram's main discovery tool, meaning that they are the piece of content that gets pushed out the most to new people, not just your followers. And, we know this to be true because Instagram has told us as such. But even if you scroll your homepage, right, I want you to do that for 2 or 3 minutes and just sort of see what comes up for you. You will probably see there's, some people who you follow. And then there's also a lot of content from people you don't follow that you haven't seen before. And that is probably mostly going to be Reels. There's also the Reels tab where people can just scroll Reels in general and sort of watch videos there. It's, the algorithm is designed to have us watch this short form video. And so, if you are trying to attract new people to your account and to grow it, Reels are really important because it's going to get your content in front of new eyeballs, right? New people. And it's building that initial know, like, and trust factor quite quickly because it's your video, it's your face. Maybe you're talking to the camera. So, they're a really important piece of content. We want to sort of think of Reels as a billboard, right? They are about visibility, not about immediate conversion. So don't get discouraged if you don't get like clients from a Reel right away. That will come in time. But our main goal really with Reels is to cast a wide net and to have people discover your Instagram page. Some of your Reels are going to be funny or relatable, right? Some are going to be more where you're stepping into your authority or your educator voice. Some might even have the goal of converting, right? And actually converting the viewer into a therapy client. But in general, Reels are best for reach. I also want to just sort of give myself a little plug here. Reels are my bread and butter, right? I've helped literally like thousands of therapists start posting Reels consistently with the Reels membership, and they've seen a steady influx of followers, more ideal client inquiries, even the first like intro call or something in a week or two, which is amazing. So if you are somebody who struggles with coming up with Reel ideas, if you're somebody who has a hard time knowing what to post, or even thinking about like, how can I post some Reels that are funny and some that are authority and some that are conversion focused, I do that all for you inside of the Reels membership. And I'll include the link in the show notes here if you want to check that out. Okay, next up we have carousels. So, the main point of carousels is to nurture your audience and to step into your authority. So, a carousel, in case you're not familiar with the format, it could be a photo, it could be a graphic that you design in like Canva or Adobe Express, but it's a single or it's like a static image, which again, picture or graphic, and you can swipe through it, meaning there's multiple static images in one post. What I really like about carousels is that it's a little bit easier for you to step into like an educator role, for you to really show up as the expert, right? Oftentimes with Reels, they are funny, they are relatable. Maybe it's like a quick, hack or tip or affirmation or validation that you see somebody, but it's hard to go in depth because we're keeping reels quite short. And so you really only have the caption to sort of step into that like educational piece. With a carousel, we can put in a lot more information, right? And I think that they're also great too when they're really like skimmable. They're quite easy to digest. They're very savable. They're very shareable depending on what you're writing in them. And so, again, it really helps you to like nurture your audience. The other thing that I think is really helpful here is that it really sets you apart from like a mental health influencer or just like a regular content creator. This is your chance to shine, to be a therapist, to show up as the expert, because you can explain things a lot more fully and in depth than you can in a 7-second reel. And, the goal with carousels is not to go viral, but Instagram is starting to prioritize these more in the algorithm. Definitely not as much as Reels, but they are starting to get seen by a lot more people. So do not be lazy with your carousel content. We want to break down concepts, and we also want to keep storytelling at the forefront because that is the kind of content that is working really well on Instagram. The other thing that I think is really important to note is that carousels are going to help you convert the people who are viewing your reels into actual followers. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's say that you come across a reel that's, funny and you're like, "Oh, I like that. I'm going to go check out her page." And you check out her page, you're going to decide whether or not to follow this person based off of their bio and what you can quickly see from just skimming their Instagram content. And when somebody's entire feed is reels, it can be quite hard to skim their Instagram content and understand what they're about, because it would take you several minutes to actually watch multiple videos and decide. Now, with carousels, if we have a strong hook on that first cover slide, it's a lot easier for somebody to see, oh, yeah, there's some like funny, relatable content here. And I see how this would be really helpful for me. I see what I would get out of following this person. And so having carousels in your feed every 2, 3, 4 posts, I think are really, really helpful for actually converting those real viewers into followers. And again, they're going to help you to build that like credibility. They're going to be really valuable. So our goal with carousels is really to like step into that authority and to nurture our audience. Now, stories is the next content format, the last one we're going to talk about today. And stories are amazing at building connection and driving conversion. So I always say that stories are my secret weapon, and your secret weapon now too, to getting all those new followers from your reels and your carousel posts to actually become clients, right? Now, why is that? First off, you can get way more up close and personal with stories than any other format. And so I want you to use that, right? That is your opportunity to be a human, to allow people to get to know you, to allow them to trust you, to like you, to want to work with you, right? And we can do this in really small ways, sharing behind the scenes of your day or your week, sharing, content that's completely irrelevant to therapy, but is still not crossing any lines of self disclosure, right? So maybe it's what you're cooking for breakfast or your workout routine or that you got your nails done or a funny meme that you saw, right? It's your chance to be a human and, to sort of like break down that wall of this is just like a stranger on Instagram and really position you as a therapist, a person that they know, that they like, that they trust. So we want to share in stories regularly. I would encourage you to share at least once a day. If you could share a few times a day, that's even better. Don't overthink it. We just really want to be active and to allow people the chance to see you. Using engagement tools is always really helpful, right? So Instagram has lots of engagement stickers for us that's at our disposal that makes it easy for people to interact with us. So I love using polls. I love using question boxes. I love sharing links to things. So don't be afraid to mix some of that in. And then we also want to sort of balance some of that like fun, behind the scenes human content with content on stories that is designed to sell. Now, when I say sell, as therapists, what I think that most of us are focused on is selling intro calls. And those are free, right? They're free 15-minute calls. But it's how can we get people from an Instagram follower onto a free 15-minute intro call with you. So that way they can then hire you and have you be their therapist. So if you are somebody who's actively working to fill your caseload, I suggest, sharing your intro call scheduler link on stories 3 to 4 times a week. Right now, I know that might feel like a lot, but if we're posting every day, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, and we're sharing some personal content, it's not going to feel like a lot to your audience, right? It's going to feel like a little blip. Most people are not going to see your stories every day. And we want to constantly remind them who you are, that you're a therapist, that you're accepting new clients, what state you work in. All of that is super, super important, and sharing with them how to take that next step. Um, if you want more ideas of like how to actually share that in stories, I share a lot of scripts for that inside of the Private Practice Academy bundle. If you want me to do another episode on that, please DM me and let me know. That might be a fun one. But I think that it's really helpful to sort of mix up how we do it. We're not just always going to say, hey, schedule a free 15-minute intro call. Sometimes we're going to ramp up to it. Sometimes we're going to share that you're doing an intro call that day, and that's going to be your sort of like intro to a plug there. Maybe sometimes you do like a Q&A and you bring that in. So we have different ways that we can sort of do that so it stays light, it stays fresh, but we do need to be sharing that intro call scheduler link pretty consistently, because stories are where people are going to convert. Right. So we always want to share in your reels and in your captions, a call to action at the end that says like, are you looking for a therapist? I'm accepting new clients in Montana. Schedule a free intro call at the link in my bio. But most people aren't going to read all the way to the bottom of the caption. And when we can actually give them that link in stories and make it clickable and right there for them, and people are also getting to hear your voice and see you and get to know you, that is where we are going to have the most success. Okay, so to wrap up and sort of summarize here, reels are going to be where you attract new people, where you grow your following and really build that audience. Carousels we're going to use to nurture that audience and really step into your authority and build confidence that you're able to help people. And then stories are where we are going to connect, make people like you a little bit more, make them desire to work with you, and ultimately convert them into actual humans on an intro call with you. So I want you to stop trying to make one format do all the heavy lifting and really think about, how you can balance each of these content formats. Because when you can balance them, when you can integrate all of them, it's going to make your content strategy way less stressful and way more successful, right? You are going to see the results that you've been looking for from Instagram. So I want you to pull up your Instagram and decide which content format you are currently underusing right now. Are you not doing enough reels? Are you not doing enough carousels? Are you not doing enough stories? Pick one format to experiment with more this week and DM me and let me know how it goes. I am cheering you on, my friends.